my little one. Your childhood is going to be different from mine. Not just different, but better, full of love. Mom and Dad are here for you. I'll make sure of that. We love you, my precious.
I can't wait to start my family, but I'm scared of putting my children through the predicament of a broken home. Sophia thought to herself as she was reminiscing on her childhood life. Sophia's parents separated when she was 8 years old, and that left a wound in her heart that never healed. Hearing her friends and age mates talk about normal children and parents' family drama made her feel bad because she couldn't relate to quite a lot of things. It made her feel different. Not a good kind of difference. More like the outcast because she didn't know anyone else in her class that went through what she was experiencing. All she could remember from her childhood was the constant arguments, cold silences between her parents, and the time-to-time switching between houses to spend time with each of them. She dreaded every bit of that. She loved both of her parents, but couldn't understand why they fought a lot. She would plead for them to stop fighting and get back together, but unfortunately they couldn't make things work out. Because of how emotionally and mentally draining her experience was, she made a promise to herself that she'd not allow her children go through the pain she went through. That was her greatest fear, raising a child in a broken home. As a teenager, she developed a skill in cooking so she wouldn't depend solely on her parents, and this opportunity helped her to start a business, a skill Sophia's lovers loved about her. She was such a sweet and caring partner to her lovers, but unfortunately for her, none of her relationships ever exceeded a year. She did all she could to show them how much she loved them, but they never truly loved her in return, because they all wanted to end things after a short time. She was pretty, smart, respectful, humble, calm, loyal, sacrificial, you name it. Why wasn't her romantic life working out? However, these experiences never changed her personality. She continued to hope for the time she'd find the man for her. At 27, she officially had her longest relationship. Her lover was a childhood crush, Stephen. They loved each other so much, or so they thought. Well, Sophia was sure she did. As long as she loved you, nothing else mattered. She'd put her heart into making things work despite being told by her friends that she needed to calm down sometimes, but she didn't care. This relationship was her longest, and no one or nothing was going to come between them. After their 4th anniversary, she found out she was pregnant, unplanned. Fear took over her heart. She wasn't ready, but even more, she was terrified of being a single mother. Worried about the judgments, determined to not repeat her parents' story, she summoned the courage to tell Stephen about it, and his reaction was not what she hoped for. He was indifferent about the news and was strongly against getting married because he was not ready. "What do you mean you're not prepared? Haven't you always told me you wanted to be with me? Look, we know it was a mistake. I'm not ready for this too, but since we talked about being together already, what's the difference if we did now? We need to get married before the baby bump starts to show, please. Let our child grow up in a unified home," Sophia pleaded. After so much pressure on Stephen, he did, not out of love but out of obligation. Sophia tried her best to make their marriage work. She was going to be the best wife and mother to her family. She was a stay-at-home mom and a food vendor, which made it easier to concentrate on taking care of her home as she always wanted. She cooked his favorite meals, stayed patient when he ignored her, and smiled even when her heart was breaking. She would tell herself, "Maybe if I love him enough, he'll love me back." Sophia had fleeting moments of happiness, but things became worse after she put to bed. He was a dad to their daughter, Isabel, only when he felt like, and that took a toll on Sophia, a married woman living like she had no husband. That became the next chapter of her life. She was not earning a lot from her small food business, but he expected her to contribute equally to pay the bills. She took care of buying the necessary supplies for the baby alone most times, paid the school fees and rent, carried their daughter to school and back home, and handled hospital bills when she or their daughter fell sick. Their communication declined and he stopped being intimate with her. Sophia never complained. She got a 9-to-5 job to handle all these and to survive. Even though the pay wasn't a lot, at least it was an addition to her small food business. It sustained she and her daughter during the times Stephen would leave them for months, without assistance anytime he traveled for a work assignment or to only God knows where. Deep down, Sophia knew all her efforts were in vain after Stephen confessed about never wanting to marry her, but did because of their child during a heated argument, and he regrets it. That broke her into pieces, but she still held on because all she wanted was for her daughter to have a united family, even though it was overwhelming. Their fights became a daily routine. He would leave for days, come back, and act like she didn't exist. And every night, she cried silently beside a man who made her feel invisible. She knew he was seeing other women, but comforted herself with the lie. As long as he comes home at the end of the day, there's hope. This silent battle went on for years until one day she accepted she couldn't take it anymore. During one of the usual trips Stephen had, she and her daughter were having a conversation. Seeing how her smiles and energy lit her mood up made her realize she had to do something different, to never let that go away. No one should have the right to control that priceless smile. At this time, her daughter had grown to a gorgeous young lady. She burst out crying uncontrollably in front of her and told her everything that happened from the beginning of time and how emotionally tired she was. She had never truly experienced being happy with any of the men she had been with in the past and was constantly the one pouring so much to make things work, but she never felt genuinely cared for. Isabel wasn't surprised about what her mother told her because she was old enough to understand what was going on and had seen her mother's unhappiness, no matter how hard she tried to hide it. Even though Isabel would have loved for her parents to have better communication, Isabel knew her mother's happiness mattered more than trying to prove a point to her. She was in support of her parents' divorce. What Sophia thought would be the worst thing to happen felt like the best decision of her life. It didn't feel like it was going to be a new life for her. The only difference was she was going to officially continue her life without feeling tied down. She stopped caring about being loved and instead concentrated on loving herself. For the first time in her life, she realized that peace was better than pretending to be loved. She was no longer afraid of being alone, and knowing that her daughter would make better choices than she did made her satisfied. Her choices wouldn't come from fear, rather from courage and self-awareness. Maybe she would try this love thing someday, or maybe not. For the meantime, all she wanted was her freedom and peace.
Childhood trauma tends to influence our choices if we aren't healed. Healing is different for everyone, and I hope we find the strength to overcome the various bad experiences we pass through. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll be looking forward to your thoughts in the comments. See you in our next story.